always happy to have with us Dr. Aimee Duffy. She is the #1 best-selling author of Normal Doesn't Have Side Effects, and she's here to talk about her new book. And she's also here to talk about anxiety. You know, the World Health Organization says that the global prevalence of anxiety and depression increased by 25% in the first year of the COVID-19 pandemic. I know that I experienced a great deal of anxiety, Dr. Duffy,
as sure did, yeah.
A lot of people. And according to you, you say that it can be managed with things like lifestyle changes and holistic therapy. Specifically, you have 5 tips to help combat anxiety. How are you? And are you anxious?
No, I feel great today.
Of course you do. Let's talk a little about it, Dr. Duffy. Good to have you.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, you know, that stat, you know, certainly has to do with COVID, but I think we were experiencing, you know, life stressors even prior to that, and that just threw everybody for a loop. And, you know, whether that's over or not over, there's been a lot of changes in our world since then. Now we've got, you know, financial concerns and political concerns and whatever else is going on. And I think, you know, I see obviously a lot of people who have health concerns as well. And I think, you know, worrying about how you feel, worrying about your health, you know, can certainly create a lot of stress and anxiety for people. And, you know, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, you know, one thing that I've recently learned is that stress in and of itself, stress and anxiety will lower your immune system.
100%, yeah.
So, I mean, that right there is one reason to completely combat anxiety.
Right. And we talk about, you know, in my practice, one of our goals is to help educate people. And, you know, it's not, obviously that's my goal in my patients, but that's my goal in having this conversation with you is, you know, the more that I can get the word out that, you know, there are ways that people can help themselves and it doesn't depend on a medication. I mean, there's tons of prescription medications out there for stress, anxiety, you know, whether it's something like an antidepressant that you take every day or whether it's an as needed, you know, medication when you're feeling like you're having a panic attack. And certainly there are times when those types of things are needed. But I think that they are, you know, very much overprescribed and overused because we're not spending the time helping people to understand what are some things that they can do on their own? What are some things that could be causing that? So yes, there are tips that we can talk about, and I do want to get to those, but you know, sometimes we talk about this all the time, Kevin. You know, you hear me talk about food in the gut, you know, with every single conversation we have, because if you're eating food that your body has to think about, what is this and what is it going to do to me? That's an internal stressor that you may not even recognize that may be creating a stressful environment internally that's sending the same signal to your brain. Hey, we're being chased by a lion right now. We got to do something. So, you know, we've got to understand where our stressors are coming from and are there things that we can control? And if it's something that we can't control, yet we feel responsible for, that's where stress really comes from. And if it's something we can't control, we need to figure out how we can look at that differently so we can be in control as much as possible.
Right, yeah.
So we've got some fun things to look at, and there's different ways to do this, but you know, when we're looking at how do we deal with acute anxiety, so when some people are in a situation where they're starting to get really nervous and almost going into that kind of panic mode, or they get nervous when they're in certain situations in, you know, in a doctor's office or a hospital or
to meet somebody for the first time, or
grocery store, you know, something like that. So I call it the 3-3-3 rule, and it's basically you can do this kind of in your own head, so nobody has to know that you're doing it, but look around and pick out 3 things in the room, you know, literally like verbally say that, like, ooh, I see a picture and I see, you know, a chair over there, and as much description, this chair is yellow, and, you know, I like this chair, I don't like this chair, you know, like in your brain, it just takes your thought process away from what's going on in your head to focusing on something else. So pick 3 things. Then you actually want to touch yourself. That sounds funny, but like touch parts of your body. So like, you know, just touch your shoulder or touch your knee or move your feet or wiggle your feet around. So, find 3 parts on your body that you can focus on and touch 3 things. And then you can listen to sounds and listen to 3 things that you can hear. So I hear the train, or I hear music, or I hear something. So that gets our brains away from that feeling of panic and anxiety and how do I get out of here, to just redirect and focus on something else. So that's the 3-3-3 rule.
That's really good, because especially if you have social anxiety disorder,
right?
A lot of people have that. A lot of people have that, and it's not something that's really talked about a lot, because people have to go out, and you kind of force yourself to do it if you experience those anxieties. I've got a lot of relatives that experience that kind of anxiety. So those are some really good tips to share. And we are so lucky that you are here in the upstate in Clemson. As a matter of fact, over on Tiger Boulevard, you're nationally, internationally known, I guess, best-selling #1 author.
Yeah.
And we are so lucky to have access to Carolina Integrative Medicine right here in Clemson.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So give us some more tips.
All right.
I've got the list here, but I want to say this next one.
Okay.
Walk it off.
Yeah.
That reminds me of something that my papa used to tell me when I was a little boy. He'd say, walk it off.
Yeah.
Walk it off.
Just get up and walk it off. Yeah.
Sage advice.
So interestingly, when we're feeling a stressor, and again, you'll hear me say this kind of saying is, our brains think that we are being chased by a lion, right? That stress response. Our brain doesn't understand the difference between, oh no, I'm late for a meeting, or, oh, I'm in a social situation that, makes me nervous, and literally the lion chasing you or the tiger chasing you, right? The signal is exactly the same. So if you're in a situation where you're feeling really stressed out or feeling really nervous, like if you feed into that a little bit and actually get up and move your body, then your brain feels like you're moving away from the tiger or the lion, and you're moving away from that stress. So it will actually help you, redirect again your brain. Plus, you're in a different situation. So, if you have a lot of stress at work, and if you're in a situation where you can stand up and just walk down the hall, or again, in a big social environment, if you can stand up and step out of the room for a minute and walk, and if you can run, that would be even better. A lot of people run because it helps their brains feel better, right? We get those endorphins when we're running, but simply just change your environment and get up and walk it off.
Yeah. Some good advice. And you've got some more tips too. And you guys offer several different services over at Carolina Integrative Medicine, including, of course, the new Clemson IV therapy. We want to talk about some of those services you guys offer as well. And we also want to talk about your upcoming wellness retreat.
Yes,
so,
that is.
Let's finish up our tips here.
All right.
And let's get to some other good stuff too.
Fantastic.
You guys have so much going on over there.
This one is kind of counterintuitive, it's just sleep. And it can be a little bit stressful, because people who are having trouble sleeping because their brain is busy and stressed, then, that's going to create, more anxiety for them. But what I see a lot is people who aren't getting good sleep and aren't purposefully doing it. They stay up late. They're not getting into a normal, good routine, that sort of thing, that the next day, the lack of sleep and inadequate sleep is going to make their threshold for anxiety and stress even more, right? It's going to be worse. So
let me ask you a question. Now, I have a basic routine. Okay. I go to bed at a certain time. I get up at a certain time, but it's not like 7 or 8 hours. It's a lot less than that. Yeah. It's probably between 4 and 6 hours, but is that okay to keep it? To help keep anxiety and stress down, to have that routine, even though it may not be the recommended amount of sleep?
I think there's a balance there between, having a routine is one thing, and then are you getting enough sleep is another topic necessarily, but they're going to go together. I always use the term, is it dysfunctional? So, if somebody is saying, oh, I only get 4 to 6 hours of sleep, and I say, okay, do you feel like that affects you? Are you tired during the day? Are you getting everything done? Are you concerned about, depression, anxiety? Are you overweight? Those sorts of things. And if the answer to that is no, I feel great, I have no problem, then I'm going to say, well, that must be enough sleep for you, right? And there are other people who are getting 8 hours of sleep and can answer yes to all those questions that they don't feel good. So everybody's a little bit different as to how much sleep. We have an average, yes, 7 to 8 hours on average is generally what most people require for their rest, digest, recovery process. But if it's not bothering you, I don't think it's an issue. I think what's more dysfunctional is, unfortunately, people who are doing shift work and stuff like that, but that they're not consistent. Some nights they'll go to bed early, other nights they're staying up till 12, 1 o'clock. Then they're waking up at 5, 6 in the morning, and then other days they're sleeping till noon, and they're kind of all over the place. And I think that can create more long-term dysfunction.
Wow. Yeah. That is, I learned a couple of things there.
Good.
Thank you.
All right.
Two
more
box breathing.
Yeah, we got 2 more fun
cold
things.
Water plunge shower.
Whew. That one's a big one.
That sounds interesting.
So both of them have to do with breathing. We'll talk about that. And even the 3-3-3 rule is kind of, how do we redirect? So box breathing is really easy. But again, this is something that you can do acutely when you're stressed out, or it's not a bad habit to get into. It's a little mini meditation, if you want to call it. And we know that meditation starts to help our brains get into what we call parasympathetic, where the sympathetic brain is the one that's the fight or flight, freeze, that's the stress response. And the parasympathetic is the, calm, rest, digest, recover. So breathing and focusing on your breathing is going to get you back into parasympathetic mode more regularly. So box breathing is literally imagining a box in your brain, and you breathe in for a count of 4. So literally you take a breath and count to 4, and then you go across the box and hold your breath for 4. And then you go down and you breathe out for 4 and hold your breath again for 4. So you're creating this imaginary box 4 by 4 by 4 by 4 in your brain. And if you can do that 4 times, that's an easy 4, 4, 4, 4. But the longer you can do that, if you can count for 4 minutes, if you can do it for 10 times, that's an easy little meditation that you don't have to have an app and a quiet space. You can do that anywhere. Again, people may not even be noticing that you're doing it because it's all in your head. So box breathing is really great. And then on the same token, breathing in general, again, is going to redirect, because when we get in that fight or flight, we tend to breathe very shallow. So we're doing this, short breathing instead of this big, deep abdominal breathing. So if you imagine jumping into, we do the polar plunge right out on the lake in the wintertime. That's usually like February, right? So when you first jump in, you take this big, deep breath and you kind of hold it. You go, and you hold your breath, right? And you want to get out of that situation as soon as you can. But if you force yourself and you're going to stay in there for a little bit longer, then you have to physically go, okay, I got to take some deep breaths to help me deal with this. So your initial breath is like this, but then you go, okay, I got to work myself into this. Can I manage this and not have to panic and get out, right? So if you're doing a cold plunge, if you have access to the lake or a pool in the wintertime, that's great. But even if you don't, you can do simply at the end of your shower, try to turn it as cold as you can stand it and stay there for 30 seconds. And that forces you to do this deep breathing and to turn your brain off. I'm not in a stress mode. I can calm down and I can work through this quote stressor that is cold water. Make sense?
Oh, wow.
And there's actually studies. I mean, there's studies that measure neurotransmitters and endorphins and all the chemicals that happen when we cold water plunge. And there are studies that say that regular cold water plunging, if you can do it on an even daily basis, and even starting with 30 seconds in the shower, can effectively treat and reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression. So, that's a non-medical treatment right there.
Something, especially for those with maybe high blood pressure,
right?
That caused by stress and anxiety. Once again, some good advice from Dr. Aimee Duffy, the #1 best-selling author of Normal Doesn't Have Side Effects. She's also got an office in Clemson on Tiger Boulevard, Carolina Integrative Medicine, and of course, Clemson IV Bar and Aesthetics to cleanse and rejuvenate. and they've got their wellness retreat coming up. And when I looked at the website last time, I can't find the link to the retreat on here. I think you've taken it down, but it was such a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
A beautiful
Oh my gosh,
place.
this
I wanted
place
to
is
be
just
there. The
the
water was
Zen
so
moment.
blue.
Yeah.
Oh, so
So
beautiful.
this is a
Yeah.
private villa that I have attended personally, some experiences and events there. And I got this idea while I was there that, this would be an amazing place to bring people for them to experience, just this getaway. And a lot of people, we go on vacation and then it's almost like you need a vacation from your vacation because it's so busy and it's so,
Yeah.
overwhelming, or, we tend to indulge in foods and beverages that maybe aren't so good for our system when we're on vacation. And again, you come back and you feel, you might get sick, or you just feel like you have to recover from that. And so this place is a private villa in Acapulco, and a lot of people go, oh my gosh, is Acapulco safe right now? I've heard bad things about that. And this neighborhood that we're in is a gated community. There is security guards with firepower at the gate. So, nobody's getting in there if they aren't supposed to be there. We get escorted from, directly from the airport to this villa. And basically for the 6 days that we're there, you are in Zen. We don't leave. We may do an excursion to the cliff divers again with an escort there. So we're not going anywhere that we shouldn't be, or getting into people that we shouldn't be in contact with, that sort of stuff. So super safe. It's an 8-bedroom villa, 18,000 square foot facility that is actually a private home, but it feels like a little mini hotel. And there are world-class personal chefs there. So, we're going to have a list with our attendees that are there. And if you have any kind of food issues, whether it's a reactivity, allergy, or just a food preference, I don't like tomatoes, then you're not going to get a plate with anything that you can't or don't want to eat. These chefs, make amazing, amazing food, fresh, everything's from scratch. There are no boxes there. And generally try to stay gluten-free, sugar-free. I have had diabetics on pumps and insulin there that have had the best blood sugar that they've ever had during the week that we're there, with food that tastes absolutely amazing. So people go, oh, it's gluten-free, that's gross. No, this food is so amazing, so good. And we just have opportunity to do the things that are healthy. We focus on the 5 pillars of health. So we're doing good nutrition. We are exercising on a daily basis, and we have different options. We can hike up the hill to the church. We can do yoga. We can do aerobics in the pool, or, a little workout with some weights and stuff in the yard. So we're doing some workouts, but then we're also spending time relaxing in meditation. We have a massage therapist there that will come and do massages in your room, and those are included. You get a 90-minute massage with your experience there. So it's all filled with just time to relax, indulge, and rejuvenate. And
it doesn't have to be for like you.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
It can be a gift. I mean, Mother's
Yeah.
Day.
All these things are coming up, whether it's birthday, gift to yourself, we talk about self-care and that being super important too. So I will make sure that the link from Carolina Integrative Medicine is there, but it's also on my personal webpage, which is Aimee Duffy MD. And of course, Facebook, you can find lots of posts on there as well. So call the office either way, or send us an email, whatever, if you have questions about the retreat. Adrielle is my staff person that is the organizer of the retreat. So she will be able to answer any questions for you. It is coming up May 15th.
I found it at AimeeDuffyMD.com.
Yes,
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's where I'd seen it at the last time. And of course, you've got ClemsonIntegrativeMedicine.com and ClemsonIVBar.com.
Yep.
We want to definitely make mention of those websites. And of course, your office is located at 1011 Tiger Boulevard, Suite 300 in Clemson. Call and make an appointment, 864-722-9262. Lots of wonderful therapies and treatments that are going on over there. Go to the website and see some of the testimonials. Check out Dr. Duffy's blog. I mean, there's a wealth of information. And sign up. Are there still spaces left for the luxury and wellness retreat?
Yes, we actually have 5 spaces. So this is a small, intimate, again, there's only 8 bedrooms. So depending off we have couples or singles, you know, it kind of changes the numbers a little bit. But so I'm saying right now that we have 5 spaces available. So, you know, there's not a whole lot of time to jump on that, you know.
Yeah,
they go
absolutely.
fast.
In Acapulco, May 15th through the 21st.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just around the corner.
It is.
Go to aimeeduffymd.com. Click on the link that says Luxury and Wellness Retreat, and you'll see the pictures that I'm talking about, folks. It is the ocean. Oh my God.
Oh my God, it's just such a beautiful space.
The bluest water, Dr. Duffy. The bluest water I've ever seen.
And this house, it's up on the hill, so it overlooks the Acapulco Bay, and the lights at night are so gorgeous. The sunsets are just, you can't get enough pictures. But there's an infinity pool. So, I mean, you just walk out right out your bedroom, basically, and your view is the pool and all of the foliage that's just different colors all the time. Apparently there's mangoes on the trees right now. So we're going to get fresh mango sorbet, fresh mango, everything.
I like mangoes.
You know, we make some good mango margaritas there too.
Oh, and tell you how it was.
Yeah. We can use a testimonial, Kevin. Yeah.
Absolutely. Dr. Duffy, I don't want to keep you. I know that you're a busy lady, but have we covered all the bases today?
I think we have. You know, it's definitely more than a starting place. It's a great conversation to have. And, you know, again, there's things that you can learn to do, but, you know, if you find that you need more help in dealing with stress, anxiety, sleep issues. We also do a lot of hormone balancing. We do gut health restoration, cardiovascular, neuro. I mean, there's all kinds of things, and they're all, you know, integrated together to somewhat, and it's all about finding why. And once we find the why, then we can correct it, and then we're not just band-aiding it with medications. And that's really our ultimate goal, is getting you living your best life.
Absolutely. CarolinaIntegrativeMedicine.com, AimeeDuffyMD.com, and ClemsonIVTherapy.com, or ClemsonIVBar.com, are the websites.
Awesome.
Be sure to sign up today. And next month, whenever you're on the show, Dr. Duffy, you get to tell me all about the wellness retreat and how it went.
We will give you a recap for sure.
I'm looking forward to that.
All right.
I wish I could go this year. Oh man, I'm so jealous.
Well, I'm going to do another one. My goal is to do one in the spring, one in the fall. So we'll be giving you updates on when we decide on the dates for the fall as well. So if you can't make it this one, then, you know, certainly put your name in for the next one.
Absolutely. Dr. Aimee Duffy. Of course, don't forget the book, Normal Doesn't Have Side Effects. It is a #1 bestseller, and it's got a lot of great advice in it for you. Dr. Duffy, it's always a pleasure to have you with us here on Coffee Time on 941 The Lake.
Thanks, Kevin.